Welcome to a basic overview of TeamSTEPPS, a team-based strategy to improve interdisciplinary communication and productivity within the workplace. We will go over key principles and techniques that you can immediately implement in your respected fields of practice. I hope to provide you with some useful tools to improve the efficiency of your team's collaborative efforts in providing higher quality and safer care to patients. Check out this collaborative effort. You have two German Shepherds peering over the tall fence to identify a person of interest. Then you have the third member peering through the floor. With their combined effort, they identified the intruder to be male, between 5'8" to 5'10", and wears brown shoes. Just like the real neighborhood watch, we should inquire processes for providers to function more efficiently as a team in order to accomplish a common goal. So before we could identify these processes, let's first answer the question, what are TeamSTEPPS? Developed by the Department of Defense in conjunction with the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, they are strategies and tools to enhance performance and patient safety, to improve interdisciplinary communication and productivity among healthcare professionals. The goal is to help providers become more situationally aware of their own roles within a team and build rapport, resolve conflict, and share information to accomplish the best clinical outcomes. Although this presentation is geared towards TeamSTEPPS within primary care, you will find that these strategies can be practiced in all settings. The first step in this process is to conduct a self-assessment of your own personal experience of teamwork within your own settings. Be aware of what feelings you have when you hear the word teamwork. Then answer the following 5 questions. Identify each member you come across or collaborate with when providing care to patients. What are their specific roles? And think about their own hierarchy on the clinical decision-making ladder. Which of those members can become a strong influence on team action, culture, and practice? What recurring errors or problems that your team experience as a result of poor communication? After identifying those challenges, what goals can your team establish to improve function and productivity? Lastly, once a goal plan is set, who can help facilitate those changes? Let's take a snapshot look at the foundational core of TeamSTEPPS. The teaching curriculum is based on 4 learning skills: leadership, situation monitoring, mutual support, and communication. It is through the lens of each core perspective that we become aware and implement team strategies. The patient care team that encircles the core is representative of all members, patients, and interdisciplinary staff involved in the care planning. It is through our actions from the 4 fundamental perspectives of the core that filters through the patient care team, that we have our resulting outcomes of performance, attitudes, and knowledge, which are constantly interacting back with members of the patient care team and therefore influencing new approaches to our core fundamentals. Let's take a more detailed look at the core learning skills of the TeamSTEPPS framework. First, we define leadership as the principle of being able to coordinate team members to ensure that communication is relayed, understood, and that members have the resources available to accomplish tasks. Situational monitoring is about always assessing breakdowns in communication or challenges that may impose to the patient care or team function. Mutual support is demonstrated by being available to assess members' needs and being cognizant of their ability to effectively perform their duties, responsibilities, and workload. Finally, be careful on how you communicate verbally and non-verbally and ensure that messages are clear, accurate, and received correctly.
James and Schwartz, how may I help you? All right, feel better, Caroline. I'll pass it on. Excuse me, Dr. James?
Yes, Emily, what is it?
Carolyn just called in sick, and she's the triage nurse today.
Look, Emily, I don't have time for this today. Just call one of the nurses up to the front desk if you see a patient that needs immediate care. They'll take it from there.
But Dr. James, none of the other nurses scheduled today have any triage experience.
Emily, just call a nurse. Thank you.
Excuse me, Dr. James.
Yeah, Sam, what is it?
Emily mentioned we have no triage nurse today, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. She'll call for one of you from the front desk if she sees a patient that needs immediate care.
All right, should we do a huddle or brief or something to explain what's going on to the rest of the staff?
No, that's okay. You just tell everybody, okay? Thanks, Sam.
Sure, okay, I'll try and tell everybody.
Sam, before anything else, can you quickly check to make sure that exam rooms 1 and 4 are ready? We're expecting an onslaught of flu patients today, and we have 3 appointments first thing.
Yeah, sure, I'll be right there. Yeah, we need to see you right away.
Miss Rainey, if you'll just have a seat in the waiting room.
We'll be with you in just a few minutes. Please have a seat in the waiting room.
All right, thank you. If you'll just wait a few minutes in the waiting room.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you calling a nurse up here to see almost every patient that comes in?
The triage nurse called in sick this morning. All the patients keep telling me that they're very sick. So I'm calling you guys to make sure they don't need immediate care.
Wow, okay. I really wish someone had shared that information with the rest of us.
I'm sorry, Kara. I told Dr. James.
It's not your fault. Just keep doing what you can, Emily, and we'll all try to come up and help you when we get a free moment.
Thanks.
Since health systems leadership is my major focus of study, I thought I'd share my inspirational depiction of what I think exemplifies leadership. If we want to succeed as a team, we need to put aside our own selfish individual interests and start doing things my way. Of course, TeamSTEPPS condones such behaviors, and whatever I think is not necessarily evidence-based practice, so let's move on to a few strategies that are recommended. Although there is a plethora of information on what you could do that would fall under acts of leadership, I will point out a key strategy mentioned in TeamSTEPPS that is emphasized. That is, being able to connect with your team members involved in the direct care and clinical decision-making process regularly or frequently throughout the shift. It is divided into 3 general parts of a brief, huddle, and debrief. Quite simply put, this process makes roles clear, goes over expectations, and team goals. The leader then can assess progression by having a follow-up huddle, then debrief at the end of duty to have an open exchange to assess team performance. In situation monitoring, a key strategy emphasized in TeamSTEPPS is the acronym STEP, which helps guide the leader to make a quick situational assessment. Assessing patient status, particularly vital signs, care needs, and progression of plan of care are examples. Then assessing team members for fatigue, workload, and appropriate skills to perform the duties. Assessing environment such as cleanliness, equipment and inventory, and bed capacities. Then finally, continuous assessment of the progression of accomplishing patient and team goals. Making a mental note of following the acronym of STEP in situational monitoring can really help refocus the mind and organize a plan, especially during times when the floor gets chaotic. Team members should feel that support is available if needed and are protected, especially from work overload situations. This all revolves back to providing safe, quality care for patients. Feedback is necessary to improve team performance, but there are appropriate and inappropriate ways of doing this. Feedback should be timely, respectful, and specific towards improving team performance. Collaboration is best described by taking interest in the welfare and needs of the patient, team members, and team as a whole. And resolution of conflict should always be addressed, although complex, situational, and individual, action that is compassionate and respectful will help rather than hurt the situation. And then we move on to our final core principle of TeamSTEPPS, communication. The various strategies listed here will help ensure that the passing of critical information is not lost or misinterpreted. SBAR is a technique when passing a verbal report of a patient. S is for situation, what is going on with the patient? B for background, what is the clinical background? A for assessment, what do you think the problem is? Then R for recommendation or request, what would I do to correct it? Call out is a verbal exchange between a sender and a recipient to organize a team's next step and to acknowledge accuracy of information. An example would be a nurse checking airway by saying, airway status, and the respiratory therapist would say, airway clear. In checkback, the sender would relay a message, the recipient would repeat, then the sender would confirm what was said. Lastly, handoff, the transferring of authority and responsibility of a patient to another provider. It is imperative that the handoff plan of care and status is clear and accurate. Now that you have reviewed a summary of strategies to improve team function, let's revisit our primary clinic and compare how the practice of TeamSTEPPS helped improve their situation.
James and Schwartz, how may I help you? All right, feel better, Caroline. I'll pass it on. Excuse me, Dr. James?
Yes, what is it, Emily?
Caroline just called in sick, and she's the triage nurse today.
Okay, do me a favor. Gather up the staff. We will need to do a quick huddle at the front desk before the day begins.
Got it, right away.
Okay, perfect. I'll be there in 10.
Okay.
We're swamped today. It's flu season. We don't have time to stand around.
I know, but Dr. James called this huddle. He should be here any minute.
Good morning, everyone. I need to tell you that Carolyn called in sick and she was assigned to triage. So we have 3 providers here today, so we'll take turns covering for Carolyn. During your triage shift, you'll see your scheduled patients every 30 minutes instead of every 15. Any patient you can't see will be passed off to another provider during your triage shift. That way we can ensure that anyone who needs immediate care is appropriately seen. Any questions? No? Okay. Be sure, everyone, to explain to our patients that the wait may be a little longer today, but we're doing the best we can, all right? Thanks, everyone. Let's have a productive day. All right, sir. If you'll just have a seat right over there, we will get to you as soon as we can, all right? Thank you.
We're going to see you right away, so why don't you come on back in? It's that first door there on the right.
All right, sir. We'll get with you as soon as we can, okay? You can have a seat back in the waiting room for us. Thank you.
Excuse me, everyone. Can we have a quick debrief about today's events? Kelly, Sam, is that everyone? Yeah. All right, good. So, what do we think about how we handled our workflow today without a triage nurse?
I'll start. When I first heard the news this morning, I was a bit wary, but from the moment you called the huddle, I felt fine.
It was busy, and everyone was alert and acted as a unit. We seemed to communicate well and pulled it off just fine. I'd say it worked for us.
I'd agree with Dr. Schwartz. I mean, although this isn't something that I'd commit to on a daily basis, I think it would work as a last resort. I mean, we managed to come together as a team and support each other, and that led to a successful day.
I think it went well. Thanks for great leadership today, Dr. James. It helped us all ease into the situation confidently. Everyone appeared to be aware of what was happening and adjusted to make sure the patient's needs were met.
Don't forget Emily. She followed up with Dr. James immediately.
Thanks, Kelly. So if a triage nurse does call in sick again, should this be the plan of action?
That's a good question. From everything I've gathered today, this does seem to be a completely viable solution. So if everybody is comfortable with it, I think we should adopt this as the new default. Everybody on board?
I might just suggest that we have a provider or a triage nurse on call for this situation specifically. I feel that our patients shouldn't be passed around unless completely necessary.
Point taken, Miles. I'll look at the schedule, see what we can do about getting somebody on call. Anything else? All right. Well, excellent work today, folks. Let's close this place down and go home, all right? All right.
Congratulations on completing this very quick and basic overview of TeamSTEPPS. I hope it was insightful and helpful in passing along a few communication tools that you could use in your workplace. Thank you for watching, take care, and be well.